To have passion in life is everything.
What's your Everest?
Oh,
Is it
yeah.
that 200-inch buck?
They just look so impressive when they're wide.
Especially running away.
Welcome to this week's episode of Eastmans Elevated.
It's like a think tank for outdoor activity.
Sounds exactly like my hunting. Just always thinking about it, always trying to evolve it and make it better.
Here's your host, Brian Barney.
Hey, what's happening, guys? I got a brand new Eastmans Elevated for you. So this week on the podcast, I have on Fred Bohm. I've really enjoyed getting to meet and to know Fred Bohm. He's really insightful and introspective. He's a Colorado resident, and he just finished up a high country Colorado elk hunt where both him and his buddy were successful, and we talk about that. But just a great guy. He's an amazing photographer, and he's just a wealth of knowledge, and I just love these in-depth conversations with other hunters and other hunters that are always trying to improve and get better, and just a great back and forth. And I picked up some tips in this, and I'm sure you guys will too. I broke this podcast up into a couple different parts. We went pretty long on it, which I really enjoy. I love that long form communication and in the back and forth, and I love how when somebody says something or tells a story or tells a little tidbit, like it gets you remember something that directly relates to it or applies to it. So just a really good back and forth with Fred. I want to have him on the podcast again. I really enjoyed it. I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy it too. Sponsor for today's show is Onyx. Onyx, they just do an amazing job over there. They're constantly updating and putting in new layers, but it's a map system that you can get on your GPS or on your phone. You guys have heard me talk about it before, but it's just changed the game for me for scouting and hunting. To have it on your phone, and then you can save all your maps on your phone, so even if you don't have service, you still have access to these maps, and you can save them in different resolutions and higher quality, lower quality. You get more area. So I'm constantly saving maps every place I hunt, and then I can look at it and adapt in real time when I'm on the hunt. It's got topography, aerial imagery, tons of layers. We have an Eastmans layer on there, which is great for studying which tags you want to put in for, but it's just a great tool that all Western hunters and Eastern hunters should be using too. I know for the whitetails, for just getting an overview of the property you're hunting and where your stands are and things of that nature, it could be really beneficial. But I just absolutely love the company. I love their app. I love having it on my phone. It's just changed the way I hunt and scout. So thanks to those guys for support on the podcast. We sure appreciate it. Onyx, check them out. And with that, man, I'm just trying to get out these podcasts here. Busy this morning. I'm just back to work, getting concrete in. I did a bonsai trip last weekend for elk. Man, it's so fun to get into those bowls and hear them bugle. That has just got to be the most thrilling, exciting hunting there is. And, God, I just saw the one out there, too. 3 eye guards on one side and a sticker and big, dark, heavy horns. And had some other 6 points in range, but, boy, that one, he just makes you want to hunt him all season long. It's just so fun. They're just fired up. And I know all the guys are starting to get excited about hunting. I know Dan's been out. He was chasing a really good high country buck around, and I saw he got a bull early. Gosh, I think he helicoptered in somewhere. I got to check with Dan. I got to get him back on the podcast here. I'd love talking with Dan on the podcast. So we'll get him back on. I know Scott Reekers, he found a couple good bucks there in Wyoming. He's waiting for the rifle opener and trying to get those. So he's off all next week hunting, and wish him the best of luck and good hunting out there. And I'm heading out with my dad here this next weekend, which is in a couple days. He's got a Wyoming rifle tag. It's all about helping your buddies out and making them better too. Gosh, I'm just fired up to hunt elk right now. But Dad's got a good muley tag. Can't wait to get down there with him and try to turn up a good muley and see if we can't get him one. And we got Clint came out with us last weekend. Me and Dan were hunting elk. He was hunting antelope in the middle of the day, and boy, just killed a stomper. We found this buck all by himself and made a stalk and a shot on it. God, it's like one of the best antelope I've ever seen on the ground. Just a really good one. So psyched for him. It's just it's hunting season. It's so much fun. I'm working hard. Gosh, I'm pouring concrete all week. I'm just exhausted. It's just been, you got to take care of your responsibilities too, but can't wait to get back in the field. The Hawaii guys are showing up next week, and so we'll be hunting elk around here, but just a really fun time of year. So yeah, I hope you guys are getting out, going on some amazing adventures. I've already got just a ton of successful photos. Nothing makes me feel better than when you guys are successful, and you guys have put in the work and always trying to learn and get better. So that's really fun for me to see. But let's get into this conversation with Fred Bohm. Great podcast, and here we go, Eastman's Elevated. Okay, I'm live here with Fred Bohm. Fred, thanks for being on. I'm really excited to lay down this podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brian.
Yeah, so we've been touching bases and we've been trying to make this work with our schedules. We're right in the middle of hunting season right now, and you're just getting back from a successful hunt in your home state of Colorado, right?
Yeah. I mean, I just kind of walked in the door the other day and, sorting through emails now like, anybody else would be doing, getting back to work. But jumped out, I think it was in for 4 days altogether. And very rare actually put down, me and my hunting partner each put down a bull. So the season ended a little bit quicker than I thought it would.
Man, good for you guys. Yeah, that's a good early season bull too. Yeah, in 4 days, that's a quick trip.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm definitely one of those guys that is like the last minute, the last day, the last minute, I'll probably maybe get something. Been on a bit of a slump, archery wise. It's been a couple years since I put one down. So, I almost felt like I was out there scouting for later in the season when the elk would start talking, but it just worked out. You know how that goes sometimes where you're kind of bummed and you're like, nothing's happening. And the turn of a dime, boom, there you go. And then, they, not going to say fell in my lap, but they kind of fell in my lap, and we were managed to take two bulls within, I'd say, about 10 minutes, and they died about 100 yards apart.
Oh, that's wild, Fred. Yeah, congratulations. That's awesome. I think, public land bulls, especially those higher pressured ones, I don't think they're given enough credit for how difficult they are. And it's just when preparation meets opportunity, you guys got the opportunity at these bulls and were able to close on them. But I think that's what a lot of hunting is just, walking around the woods and trying to find game animals and trying to theorize, but and then it's spotting them and trying to make right on that opportunity, which you guys did. So were they talking at all while you were down there?
Dead silent, and that was the killer. We were in the weekend before as well, and we knew it would be silent. I mean, this I think is one of the earlier years. Colorado, how it kind of rotates a little bit, but this is one of the earlier times of the year that you're gonna hunt these guys. And I mean, we didn't hear a peep, so we were just. Honestly, what it turned up is get as high as we could, and then we were glassing, almost treating them like muleys to see where they were at. It was little bachelor groups of bulls. The big bulls were nowhere to be seen yet, and and then towards the end, the last couple of days of the hunt, there were a couple satellites getting in the mix, thinking that they were gonna, get the cows riled up or something. But no, they were dead silent. So we had a bit of work. This particular group we spotted from, I think miles away, and we had just blown out another group, kind of frustrated at this point. So we saw these guys, we're like, you know what, patience, let's take our time, let's get over to the spot right at evening, and, just when the sun's off of them and they're thinking about getting up to move around a little bit, and we're just going to do a little bit of just real easy bugles, just to kind of, pique their interest, maybe rake some trees a little bit. And that's kind of what we did, is we just got in as close as we could. So, essentially with spot and stalk, I think we got, I don't know, maybe 80 to 100 yards from where they were. And then just let out just a soft bugle. We didn't hear much, and then just sat and waited, and then raked the tree a little bit, sat and waited. And sure enough, one pops out towards me. But at this point, I think the closest I had him is 108 yards, so that wasn't going to happen. And he kind of knew I was there, so I threw out a little chirp, and my hunting partner ran back and started cow calling. And this guy just took to it and came straight in, gave me a perfect broadside shot at a very comfortable distance, and managed to hit him and ran off and just laid down to die. And we're not cheering or anything yet 'cause we knew there was one other one sitting there. So within, I guess, maybe 10 minutes, yeah, he popped out, and hunting partner had a perfect shot at him, and bam, hit him. And I don't think that one ran more than 3 steps. Not sure exactly. It was a good shot, but I mean, it just put him right down. So yeah, within 10 minutes, we had 2 bulls down.
Oh, that's wild, and wild to drop an elk in 3 steps too. It's wild when you can drop them in sight, but yeah, 3 steps. It must have just switched them off, just heart and lungs or the whole deal, and just put them down.
Yeah, it did. It just blew through the shoulder there, and I mean, it was almost like a rifle shot. Just broke him down and laid down and died. Like it flipped upside down. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like it, to tell you the truth.
Man, good for you guys. Well, you sure played it right. Like spotting them from so far away, and then it sounds like you bedded them in a specific piece of timber or something like that. Yep. A
piece of timber in between the typical that at that time of year, we usually use the Abbey shoots. So he was in the timber, in the Abbey shoots and whatnot. And perfect location.
Oh, wild. And then you got over there and set up kind of in that late afternoon, evening when those bulls are going to be getting on their feet again and coming out to feed and getting close. And then what was your wind like? Had the shadows hit that drainage where they were pulling down, or did you have strong directionals, or what was your wind like?
Well, the wind had been, beating us up all weekend. So, we got in, and that's exactly why we waited towards the evening, to see if we could get those thermals to switch. Luckily, there was a storm kicking in, so everything was cooling down a little bit earlier than we had thought. So it really benefited us. And the prevailing seemed to be going that direction, but you know how storms could be, and it could get kind of swirly. But by the time we got in there, the thermals changed perfect. And I mean, that's the only reason we got them, of course. If that wind changed on us for a second, and the way it had been going all week, I was just waiting to feel that on the back of my neck. But lucked out. And there's the luck part of it. You can't really predict those swirls, so it worked out perfect for us.
Man, the wind has killed more stocks than anything else out there. Is it like, and it does. It almost feels like luck a lot of times, especially with the way, mountain winds travel through drainages and basins, and all of a sudden you can be getting close and you could have a good wind all day long, and you start getting inside 100 yards, and like you say, you feel that switch on the back of your neck, and it's busted before you ever even have a chance. But that wind is just so key to killing bulls and bucks in any Western game out there, really.
It's everything. It is. I mean, you could get away with a lot, especially with elk. I would say with noise, muleys, those things are so switched on. There's not a sense on them that you could trick, but or at least in my experience. But bulls, you could be a little bit noisy because they could think it's another bull or cow over there. Even sight, sometimes you could get away with more than you would think. But yeah, you're 100% right. That they smell you, they're done. They're out of there.
Well, and that wind helps a ton with sound on muleys, and I think that's the key to my success this year was just a good wind. Like I got up in the high country in Nevada, and I tried to hunt these bucks. You got to hunt bucks where you find them, and I found all these bucks, but they were on the lee wind side, so the directionals would blow hard against like the west side of the mountains, and the bucks were on the east, and that top third of the mountain, it was a nightmare for wind.
Oh, yeah.
It just keeps swirling over there, and you try to play thermals down there, but it just switched so much. And I got busted like 2 different plays I had made where you think you got a pretty consistent win and it just didn't work out. But then you go to like Colorado and I found them like on the strong wind side, where the wind was blowing against it. And, I sat in range of the buck I shot for 3 hours inside 25 yards with just a steady wind. He had no chance to win me and finally got up and I, made a 34-yard shot on him, but that wind is just everything. And like I think if you're sitting being really patient on a buck and waiting for your play, like I think that's the number one factor. Like it doesn't matter how good a spot that buck's in, if you got a shifty wind or you don't have a strong wind, it isn't worth it. Just wait, and same thing for bulls. Like I'm getting ready to hunt elk here in Montana. Man, I'm just going to live and die by that wind, even more so than I have in the past. It's just so important to killing those things.
It is, and it's the hardest thing to do is that patience. It's just, I don't know what it is about us. I mean, maybe it's just, maybe it's the generation, and we just want everything right now. And I find that a constant battle within myself. I always want to like, oh, just push this, make this happen. I want to get this kill. And that is the worst thing you could do. Just sitting there and letting it play out on its own, letting the animal do what it's naturally going to do, get up when it wants to get up, not throw rocks or force it or, oh, I could get a little bit closer, but just sit there and be patient. That's the only time I get success. And how I can't register that in my brain every single time I'm out there. Like, hey, look back. When were you successful? When you were patient. And, there's a time to be aggressive, but I think aggressive's getting you there. But then once you're in that position, just let it play out.
Oh, you're so spot on, Fred. It is. Like I have this saying that patience kills the buck, and it's all the way around. It's when you get in range, being patient, letting that buck stand and walk out instead of you trying to get in there and try to get the angle on him, and you're almost trying to force it, and you're exposing yourself to his sight line, to where you can get caught. But patience of letting him walk out, patience waiting for the stalk, and then patience on the win. And that was like that. I harvested a Nevada buck, and I bedded these bucks. I got around. I had a good wind, and I started moving in, but it was that morning wind where it was maybe 3 miles an hour, and it was just so quiet in that sage that I could hear every sound I was making. And finally I looked back at the guy I was with, and I was like, man, we're not going to kill this buck. We got to back out. We got to wait for the afternoon winds to come up, which those directionals usually get stronger in the afternoon. And so we backed out and watched that buck for 2-3 hours, and then those afternoon winds come up, and then I was able to sneak right into bow range and stick a perfect arrow in him. But you're right, like us guys, we have to learn that lesson over and over and over. And even guys like you that know better and guys like me that know better, I still make mistakes every season and have to relearn that lesson. But I'm really going to try to imprint it in my brain for the rest of this season and seasons to come, because you're right, patience just kills that buck.
Yep, it's a constant battle, and I don't know how to fix it. That's the funny part. It's like I could see next season exactly what I'm going to do, and it's going to take a bull to blow out, or a buck, and then just be like, what did you learn last year? Come on, buddy. It's almost like I got to tattoo this on my arm or something, or in the back of my bow, and you just have like settle down, calm down, take your time, patience. Yeah,
well, and it's
everything.
Tough. Yeah, when it's not black and white either. Like, there is no true answer. It's all just based upon your instincts and your judgment, past experience, and, whether or not you can kill that buck. And I think, it's a good trait that I have, that I think I can kill everything I see. I think I can kill every deer I spot, every elk I spot, because I'll travel mountain ranges to go get on them. And just like your bulls in Colorado, like you guys traveled a great distance to go get on those bulls because you thought you could kill them. And so there is a need for that aggression and that. Sure. And I think, part of the reason I'm so successful is because I keep trying, my perseverance. Like I keep looking for the next stalk, and then I'll go make that play no matter how far it is. But it like you have to intertwine that with your patience, like just knowing when it's your time to go and make that play, and knowing when that's a low percentage play. I think I'm going to wait for a better opportunity. And the more you sit on an animal, it's amazing the mistakes they'll make and the bad positions they'll put themselves in. But there too, I've been too patient on animals where I find like this giant 220-inch muley, and I'm so scared to screw it up that I sit and I watch that buck for days on end, and finally on the fourth day I make a stalk and I blow that buck out or something. It's like, man, what have I been doing for 4 days? So there is like it's a fine line, I think, between being patient, too patient, being aggressive, and it's just trying to find that right mix to find success, I think.
I agree. And the thing is, it always comes down to, I don't know any other thing I've done, any other sport or whatever you want to call it, where it's so much like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. In your brain, you're looking at the situation. If you blow it, like, oh, I should have been more patient. Or if you're too patient, like, I should have been more aggressive. I should have just got in there and made the shot and, at least given it a chance. And so I think as hunters, it's just constantly grinding on us. Like, we're always debating because you blow the opportunity. It's so black or white. You either got them or you didn't. Well, if you didn't get them, then you should have done the exact opposite thing you did. So it's a very a lot of inner turmoil with it, I would say.
Yeah, that so hits home. Like, that hindsight's 2020, and you're right. If you mess up a stock, well, then you should have waited and been more patient. If you were more patient and then the buck ended up moving out of the country and you never got a chance at him, you think, gosh, I should have made a play. He was in a decent spot. So yeah, that hindsight's 2020, and I think, you got to have confidence in your skills. You try to learn from your mistakes, or you learn from it if you don't get the deer, but you also you have to put it out of your mind too. If you miss something or you blow a stock, like, it's easy to let that just crush your willpower back there. It's easy to let it crush your spirit. And instead, you got to just chalk it up to experience and go, maybe I should have done this, or maybe I should have done that. And then you make that same saying as, well, hindsight's 2020. I can see it crystal clear now that I messed that up. Next time I'm not going to do so bad, but I'm not going to dwell on it either. And I'm not going to beat myself up over it. It's like, well, it's time to go find another one and go create another opportunity.
Well, that's it. And we also got to remember why we're out there. We're out there to have fun. You could beat yourself up and get miserable about it, but we're doing this with our vacation time. So you dang well better enjoy it. So and just not take ourselves too seriously. Everybody screws up. I screw up more often, than I would say than the average. But just don't get, exactly as you said, just don't get down on yourself and just keep going. The next one you're going to learn, be a little bit more patient, or, wait out that wind, or whatever it may be that you just learned on that last one. And then hopefully each time and each season, you're just, it's less and less frustrating. You're not banging your head up against walls much. So
yeah, when like you stated, failure is a prerequisite of bow hunting. Like, you are going to fail a lot no matter how good you are. Like, you might think you fail more than the average. I think I fail more than the average guy. Like, you just, it's a prerequisite to bow hunting, and the animals are going to win a lot of the times. They just have such great instincts. They're so switched on. Like, they're meant to survive and have evolved from thousands of years of avoiding mountain lions, which are way sneakier than we could ever pretend to be, so, like, you're not going to win every battle, but hopefully you win the war in the end. You make smart decisions. You don't let one decision play on the next one. Like, you just start fresh, and you're right. Like, you can't be too driven. You can't be too hard on yourself. It's our vacation. It's our passion, and we're lucky that we have passion in our lives. But being out there in the wilderness, like, it's not fun all the time. Like, you have to grind at it, but it's fun overall, and it's fun to challenge ourselves. And so you're right. Like, immersing yourself in that backcountry, like, we have to enjoy the entire experience, because it is our vacation and it is our release. And you get home and then you can't stop thinking about the hunt you were just on, no matter how grueling it was, no matter how tough it was. You just can't stop thinking about how much fun it was to be back there in the backcountry. And so I think you're right. I think it's really important to be in the moment, immerse yourself in the challenge at hand, chasing a bull elk, chasing a mule deer, and enjoy it. And, like, when I fail on a stock too, like, I try to take the good from it as well. Like, I learn lessons from it and try to get better and what I could have done different. But I also go, man, that was worth the 12-hour drive to Colorado, or that was worth this hike in. I always say that's worth the price of admission, because what I'm there for is that thrilling close encounter. And when I get that thrilling close encounter, whether I get that buck or bull or not, like it's exhilarating. Like, I love it. And so I try to just go, man, was that fun? That's what I'm here for. That's what I love to do. And you know what? I still got a tag in my pocket, and I still got a bow in my hands. Like, it's just time to keep going, excuse me. But yeah, it's just just enjoying it from start to finish, immersing yourself in the journey. I think that's so important in hunting, as so much of us get so driven nowadays.
I agree. And just be grateful. There's not, if you think about us here in the U.S., I mean, how many people get to do this for fun? There's still people in the world that are doing this because they need to survive, and this is something that, God, we got such a great system, and we're able, hunt these animals, and they're so well maintained through our, Department of Wildlife and all that. We're really blessed with what we have here. And if you could, just sit back and think, like, it's pretty cool that I'm sitting out here, that I'm in this backcountry that a lot of other countries don't have. It's either developed up, or the animals aren't there anymore, or people have things they have to do with their time that's not just recreational. So, you sit back and you think about that, and like, I don't know, it kind of changes that perspective, and allows you to enjoy everything out there. It allows you just to enjoy being in the woods and to have what you have, and have maybe a supportive family that's allowing you to do this, or like you said, the passion. There's some people with no passion, and it's like we're pretty blessed at what we get to do.
Oh, we're so blessed. Yeah. Absolutely. And to have the time off work. I mean, you think even you think of other countries and you think of our country and the public lands we get to hunt, but then even think of this country and prior generations, to where hunting was feeding the family, and there wasn't as much enjoyment in it or recreation in it, that it was to go out and get some meat for your family. But like my grandfather and probably yours, I mean, worked multiple jobs, his fingers to the bone, 6-7 days a week. Like, those guys would work themselves to death just to put food on the table, just to support their family. And for us to be able to pay our bills and to make, you don't even have to make good money, but they say if you make $30,000, you're the top 1% of the world's population as far as income. like most of us are the top 1% of the world's income. We can pay our bills, put food on our table, have a roof over our heads, and then have this free time to go recreate in these wild public lands where you can have these adventures, like as a common blue collar, bow hunter, a blue collar hunter. Like, that's absolutely amazing. So you're right. Like, a lot of it is just perspective, and it's realizing the positive you have in your life and then embracing it, and I think that's what's so great about hunting.
And it helps, yeah. And for me, it definitely helps me keep the pity parties to a minimum when I'm in the woods, when I'm like, oh, I can't believe I didn't get that elk. And I'm like, are you really complaining? You're sitting in this beautiful setting. So what? You blew an elk out. Who cares? There's how many more in the woods? Go get after it, you big baby. So, like, having that perspective definitely helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so successful on your Colorado elk already. Like, what's up next for you, Fred?
Well, I lucked out and got an antelope here in Colorado as well. So that started on the 15th for us. Never happens to me. This is hopefully a new trend for me. But got one opening day out in the plains of Colorado. So, that started the season off, and then jumped into this. And then, now I had planned, about a 9-dayer at the end of the month for Colorado elk. So I think what's going to end up happening, we might get up to, Idaho and check out their OTC tag, since I got the time off already. And then I'll be getting into some whitetail. I usually do South Dakota, Nebraska. Wasn't able to pull a muley tag this year, but for second choice, I was able to pull a whitetail tag here in Colorado. And so that'll take care of my October, November. I do a good bit of upland game with my dogs as well. But then once December, January hits, it'll be Arizona. Get down there and chase some muleys in the mountains there, and when it's freezing cold here, get down there and getting some heat and hunting a t-shirt.
Oh man, nothing better like that Arizona desert. We touched on it just a little bit before we started the podcast, but yeah, you head down to Arizona, over the counter tags down there,
yep.
and you immerse yourself in that desert down there. Isn't that fun when it's so cold in these northern western states, Colorado, Montana, Wyoming, to just disappear down there and soak in some heat? And I usually hunt coos down there. It sounds like you focus on mule deer down there.
Yeah, and I've done both. I've gotten the coos down there, just depending on my mood, what I want to do. If I want to get in the deep deserts, where those you get the desert mule deer and these mythical creatures. I mean, you don't see many. I think we've discussed that, but there could be some big boys down there, and you're not going to see a soul. So that's kind of my one trip out of the year. I just go down, I turn everything off, I unplug, tell the family I'm fine, and they know where I'm at, and I just kind of go in there and just there's nothing more silent than the desert. There's just nothing out there, and it's desolate, and I love everything about it. And you're just kind of wandering around and looking for these giant mule deer. We're super tough to hunt. It's that same thing you had talked about with the wind. The wind is everything with more when it comes down to just keeping the sound down, because everything's crunchy. It's like cornflakes out there. So I'll do that, or if you get above the Mogollon Rim, you could get into some of the mountains, and even in December, January, it's not that cold up there. You can get some snow, but most of the time I'm hunting in 60-degree weather. And their OTC tag is it's phenomenal. It's a good part of the state, It's not, obviously you're not doing the strip or the Kaya Bob or anything like that, but I mean, for me, I could hunt that every single year, and I can't tell you how many deer I see. I think it's a phenomenal tag.
Man, yeah, it's great. It's like there's so many great over-the-counter opportunities or low-point opportunities, and that's what I like to hunt as well. I like to hunt these units that don't take a whole bunch of years to draw, that I can go in there year after year, every other year, whatever the case, and just learn it. And I think more of harvesting these trophy animals, and definitely if you draw a good unit, you got a high chance at harvesting a trophy animal. But really, I think what trophy animal, to harvest them consistently, is to sharpen your skills, whether that's your hunting skill to be able to find these, next level mule deer or bulls or antelope or whatever it is. And then it's also like sharpening those skills, your stalking skills. So you've got a lot of confidence in your skills. So when you do get a chance at one of those giant muleys, you can put yourself in range, or at least you got a good chance at it. And then, you've shot at enough of them. You know how to keep your calm, and you know how to pick your spot, execute your shot, and make a good shot. But I think, there's more to killing a consistent trophy like that. I think is learning how to hunt these units where you can get tags, and especially in today's day and age where tags are tougher and tougher to get. So it sounds like you're hunting quite a bit over the counter. Sounds like you're going to go to Idaho here in a little bit, and then down to Arizona. I just think that's so cool, Fred. I think that's the way to go to improve hunting skill.
I agree. It's extending your season. For Colorado here, if you're doing muleys and elk, I mean, it's September, a little bit at the end of August, but if that's all you're doing, you're hunting 1 month out of the year, and you're not hunting the full month, obviously. So whatever time you could get off then, luckily I could get a good amount of time off with work. So I really like to try to extend the season, and, whether that be whitetail, getting into that rut in November, that's a lot of fun. But yeah, it's exactly that. It's that, just experience, just getting out there and hunting as much as you can. If you want to be a good mountain biker, you mountain bike. You want to be a good rock climber, you rock climb. If you want to be a good hunter, you hunt. I could sit here and read about it all I want. I could sit here and watch YouTube endlessly and try to hone my skills, and that's great. That definitely does help for a certain extent, but just being out there doing it, I mean, I find that's with anything in life. You want to be a good writer, you got to write. Like you have to do it a lot, and there's a ton of opportunities to extend it. Like, what was it, last year? I mean, in the spring, I was in New Zealand for 3 weeks. Did a trip out there when there was nothing going on out here. I took the family to Hawaii for a month, and luckily I'm able to work off my computer, so I could kind of anywhere, as long as I have an internet connection, I could work. But we did Hawaii for a month and hunted there for every single day for a month. Like, there's ways of doing it to extend it where it becomes a year-round sport. It doesn't just have to, be September, October, and you're done.
Yes, experience is the best teacher. You are so right about that. Yeah, you want to be good at hunting a bunch, and you're right. Like, you can shorten your learning curve by reading podcasts, watching YouTube. Like, there's definitely information you can take in there, but there's no better teacher than experience. And the best hunters out there are hunting the most, and you can do it on a blue collar budget too. You get so many weekends, and if you can add a Monday or a Friday, and we don't all get the opportunity to go hunt, Dall sheep or stone sheep, or it's out of my tax bracket. But what I do get to hunt is I get to hunt like this lower 48, and me as well get to hunt Hawaii. Like, I've got some connections there, and I go there every year, in Alaska, and you just find all these cool things. And then with like the spring bear season, you can pick up so many days of hunting in the spring bear season. But yeah, if it's what you love to do and you want to get better at it, like, you try to extend your season. And that doesn't mean that you have to take off 3 months solid. It just means, like, you got to plan these hunts that happen in different months where you can kind of find that vacation time or be a weekend warrior to get as many days of field as you can, and that's the best teacher you can have.
Exactly, and you could do them cheap, and that's the beauty of it. I mean, like, okay, a stone sheep hunt, all right, that's a different thing. You're paying for an exorbitant amount for a tag, and if you're required to have an outfitter and all that, that gets into a totally different area. But some of these things where people are like, wow, how do you afford New Zealand? Well, it really comes down to you find a cheap plane ticket. Everything else over there, there's no tags. You go over there, you're camping the whole time. So you got to rent a car. food, and you could do it relatively on the cheap. Hawaii, as you know, like you said, if you get a couple connections over there, or you even rent a place for a little bit, the tag's cheap, $100, and you can hunt just about every day and any time of the year. So there's ways of doing it where, at first it may sound like, oh yeah, that's just for the rich people. And I'm like, well, believe me, I'm not one of those rich people. You do a little research, you put the time in, you do it, far enough in advance, and you can make it a reality at relatively cheap.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And just like you're saying, Hawaii, there's also public ground over there, and you rent a rig, and yeah, you can rent a house and bring the family with you. You can also camp out on the beaches there too.
Totally.
So yeah, there's different ways to go about it. And like I never get a hotel, like lower 48, wherever I'm at, I never get a hotel. It's just my rule.
Agreed.
I sleep in the back of my truck or under my canopy, or I just find a place to sleep, but I'm always trying to do it on the cheap. And it's amazing what you can have these adventures for, traveling, or there's so many great adventures in the lower 48 too. So many different species, like your antelope hunt, opening day, was that a bow hunt as well, Fred?
It was, yes.
Gosh, congratulations, man. Those antelope are no easy feat with a bow and arrow. You're having a good year.
I'm on a roll, so I just want to keep finding tags and, see if I could ride this thing out. I don't know. It's bound to come to an abrupt halt eventually, but hopefully a couple more animals before that happens. But yeah.
Maybe not. You're making the right moves, It's like all that experience just goes into your instincts, and your instincts, they're what dictate, when you stalk and how quiet you are, not rushing in the end, executing your shot. So maybe you just turn the corner and you're getting a little bit more positive luck, which always helps out, but you're having a heck of a season.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. There's no doubt about it, so I'll take it.
Yeah, and nothing better than that antelope meat, huh?
Oh, man, it is good. And they're just such a fun animal because the way I see it, at least out here, like there could be times with elk, like it could be frustrating. You're not seeing them every day necessarily. You could blow one shot, and that might be it for the season for you. I feel with antelope, no matter what state I hunt them in, you get multiple stalks a day. So if you want to talk about an animal to build experience with, their eyes are, outrageous. They say it's the same as your binoculars, like your 10Xs. So you're going to blow stalks on these guys, but you're going to learn so much because, you could get 2-3 stalks in, if you're in a good place, but a day. And I mean, you want to talk about building experience and learning animal habit and stalking for sure. And I mean, you're going to be crawling more than you're walking with those guys. There's no doubt about it. I don't remember the last, I come out more sore from antelope hunting from crawling miles than I do, sometimes with an elk hunt. So yeah, they're a fun animal. I look so forward to that tag every year.
Yeah, that crawling, like constantly holding those yoga poses as you're going, nothing will make you more sore, and nothing's more controlled, or even just stalking slowly, like trying to slowly place your footfalls down and bending down and crouching, like that wears on a guy. Like you wouldn't think it would. You think the exertion of chasing elk mile after mile would wear you out, but that stalking, it does wear on you. But you're so spot on as far as gaining experience. Like nothing will further your skill set more than a high opportunity hunt. And antelope are a high opportunity hunt, but they're really switched on. They're tough to kill with their vision, like you say.
Yep.
They can wind you, and they can hear you coming, but their vision in that open terrain, and it really teaches you what you can get away with and what you can't. And so you can transpose that in your other hunting. And like you say, elk hunting, you may get a few stalks a season. Antelope, you may get a few stalks a day, and so you get to further your learning curve so much quicker. And the same thing you probably found in Hawaii too. You get so much experience, and those axes are so switched on out there, and you get so much experience too, like shooting and executing a good shot, getting a good range, like all those finer workings of harvesting an animal. But that high experience, the other thing, like I did when I was starting out, when I'd didn't have the means, or I didn't have the knowledge to travel to some of these places like Hawaii and things. As I've gotten older, I've kind of, learned and put the connections together and been able to get out there. And I'm just more adventurous. I'm willing to go someplace and fail. But I used to hunt white-tailed does around here, and still do. Like, they'll give us 5 over-the-counter doe tags, and stalking a white-tailed doe, that's the same thing. It'll sharpen your skills so quick, and then like, just like an antelope, an axis, or a white-tailed doe, you can get everything right, and then that thing will jump your string as soon as you let your arrow go.
Oh yeah, yep.
But
that's the truth right there. I mean, and it's there's tons of opportunities, in all these states, and you can really do this pretty close to year round. So it's fun.
Oh, it's so fun, isn't it? It's like we were talking about earlier, like you find this passion, and we're so lucky to have passion in our life, something that makes us be better humans, where we're working out all the time, and we're committing ourselves to this, to archery and practice, and we're dedicating ourselves to it, and we show discipline, and then I think on these hunts, you're able to reflect, and you sure appreciate your family for supporting you, and your job, and I think you come back refreshed, and how you do one thing is how you do everything. So you can't just be a good hunter and be a bad husband or a bad father, bad at your job. Like, that transposes in all of your life. It just teaches you discipline and to work hard at things. But that passion is so important in life, I think, and we get it out of our hunting, or at least I do.
I agree. And, I think I've had that as a kid, no matter what sport I was in. And it's something, I'm trying to teach my kids. Now they're real young, so obviously I'm not pushing them anywhere, but, it's to have something to live for and to push for. Like, I don't know if I would go to the gym every single day if I didn't have hunting. And, and I'll caveat this. I understand there's you don't have to. There's definitely that side of it. I know it's a big thing with everybody being this athlete and hunting. But, I mean, it gives me something to drive for. It gives me like, well, if I'm going to do this insane hunt in the backcountry, I have to get up, I have to get out, I have to train, and it does, and it gives you some kind of drive in life, where if you're just like, get up today and I'm just going to work, and I don't know, it's not a life I would want to live. So I agree with you. I'm glad I have something like this, or anything in life that would, that push you like this. I was a huge rock climber, and that forced me to have a very healthy lifestyle, or whatever it is in life that, pushes you towards that healthy lifestyle. I think it's a great thing.
Oh yeah, you're spot on. Yeah, that's what I try to teach my kids too, is passion. Find out what you love to do, and then really apply yourself to it. Like really work hard at it. And the harder you work, the better you'll get at it, and the more enjoyment you'll see out of it too. And you're right, like working out, you don't have to work out to be a great hunter. There's so many facets that go into being a great hunter, and some guys can push really hard when they're on the hunt, but I sure think it gives me an edge. I think a lot of the animals I harvested are because of the fitness I'm in, and two, like, fitness is directly tied to your mindset. It's directly tied to how you feel, pushing over the next mountain, not getting negative. Like, you put yourself through these trials and tribulations through training, where you toughen yourself. You find this mental strength, this mental toughness, and then you're able to draw on that on these hunts. And then once you find some success on these hunts, like, you just have so much to draw from. So when you get to a bad spot or down on something, and archery will take you to your highest highs, it'll also take you to your lowest lows, missing your target animal, blowing a stalk, or whatever it is. But you've trained yourself. You know how to pick yourself up out of that and to keep pushing on. And I think that fitness is directly tied to your mental strength, which is directly tied to your success.
I agree. And I think that's what a lot of people miss when they're like, you don't need to work out. I'm like, well, it's not necessarily the physical side. They're not seeing the correlation by putting yourself through some, hell workout at the gym or something like that, how that's making you mentally tough. Like, when you're in there, you're like, you know what, I'm just going to leave. There's no animals here. Or, there's a bad storm coming, I'm just going to get out. But like, you could draw back on that hard workout or that insane race you did or whatever it was. You're like, I've already been through something tough. I've been through something way tougher than what I'm doing right now. It helps you stay in there. And I think that might be, if I could, I get questions, here and there. And like, if that's one thing I could relate to, or, hand over to somebody else, would be just stay in there. If you allot yourself 10 days for a hunt, unless there is an extreme circumstance, and then make sure you're, that extreme circumstance is extreme, like death of the family, but get everything else lined up before you go on that hunt. Make sure you're good at work. Make sure you're good at home, and make sure everything is set up. And if you say you're staying in the 10 days, you're staying in the 10 days. And I can't tell you how many times, because I am that last day kill. That's what I kill most of the time. It's how many times just staying in has been the single thing that has made me successful.
Oh yeah, and there's nothing like, and you do have to fail to learn from it, but there's nothing worse than coming home from a hunt early, like planning your days and then getting home a couple days early, and gosh, you're just at the bottom of the bottom. You're just thinking, man, why am I not still up there? And you're right. If you plan for 10 days, you stick it out and you stay out there, and you're going to be better for it and because of it. And also, like, you're going to get back there, it's going to be tougher than you think it is, and your mind is going to play tricks on you. Like, I've been on enough of these hunts, like, all of a sudden your brain will create problems back there. You'll start worrying about work even though you've got everything taken care of, or you'll start worrying about and missing your family or getting homesick, and you've prepared everybody that you're going to be gone, your family's taken care of, your work's taken care of, like everything's been taken care of. You've done it before you've left. Like, you can't let your mind get the better of you. You just got to stick with it, and your mood will, it goes up and down. Like, you're going to have low points and you're going to have high points, but just sticking it out gives yourself the chance and the opportunity to be successful. And it's amazing how you just keep pushing. And I think, like you said, the best quality a backcountry hunter can have is perseverance. And it's day after day. And also that physical conditioning, what that teaches you is it teaches you discipline, like getting yourself up every single day to go out and get your run, or after work when you're tired to go get your run. Like, you make yourself go do it. And I think it's the same thing in the backcountry, where you make yourself keep going. You make yourself see what's over the next hill. You make yourself stay in for the next couple days because you've planned it. But that's the key to success.
All right, that's a wrap with Fred. Just a great conversation back and forth with him. There's just so many tidbits and information you can pick up. And we get into it here on this second one too, about Fred. He takes a journal with him and writes everything down. Man, I just think that's so important, to just learning all the information and also retaining all the information. Some of these thoughts that you have, ideas you have when you're in the field, or you kind of adapt to the situation you're given. Remembering all those struggles you had, and remembering what you did to be successful, and just writing all those things down, to get a higher understanding of the wind, like taking notes of that wind and what it's doing every day, and each canyon and ridge tops and thermals and directionals. But really cool. Second part of this conversation is just as good as the first part. I just really enjoyed meeting Fred and getting to know him. He's just a great guy, and we'll definitely have him on the podcast again. Sponsor for today's show was Onyx. Onyx has just changed the way I scout and hunt. I say it all the time, but just an amazing app. You can get it on your phone. You can save your maps to where even if you don't have service, it still works. And then there's just so many other features and overlays. Like, the more time you spend on it, the more you learn. It's great now. You can send waypoints to a buddy. We use that in Alaska. I'd send those guys waypoints, and I'm going to use it again here, as I'll be muley hunting with my dad in Wyoming right when these Hawaii boys show up. So they got a couple days of hunting before I get here. So I'll send them a bunch of points on Onyx, just starter points. They have an antelope tag too. So I'll give them some antelope spots and then some elk spots where I've been seeing them. And so we'll get them all set up, but it's all done through that app. I mean, without that, I don't know how I would send them those points, or they'd be able to navigate to some place they'd never been. So just an amazing app, and thanks to those guys for sponsoring the podcast. And with that, just hunting like a madman, just burning the candle at both ends here, just trying to get work done and responsibility, make volleyball games with my daughters, and be here for my family, and also just try to hunt like a madman. Man, do I want a good bull this season, and I just got to be hunting them. And I know a lot of my time's coming later, which is just killing me, as they're all fired up right now. And I'll hunt with the Hawaii boys coming up here local in the valley, and that'll be good. But I got a special tag as well, which the special tag I can still hunt here in the valley, but I can hunt a bunch of different units there, and it's new to me this season, and just already getting into good bulls, and they're bugling really hard, and you're able to chase them. I just wish I could clone myself and be more places at once, help out everybody on their hunts and also be out chasing those things. But like I say, I'm gonna get my time later. I've got that great cameraman that's been with me on a couple trips, that Logan Summers. Filmed Nevada, photographed Colorado for me, and then he's going to go on this elk hunt with me. And he's been elk hunting himself here. I've been getting updates, and they've been into some good bulls as well. But yeah, I just can't wait to get after these bulls. Man, oh man, I want to get a good one down. It's just what thrilling, exciting hunting. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the guys at Eastmans turn up. I know Dan's already killed a nice 6-point. And he's been chasing them hard, and I know Scott Reekers is getting his time next week. He's going to go chase big Wyoming high country bucks with his rifle, so pulling for him. And I know Eastmans are going to start to get out. I know Ike was out chasing antelope a little bit. It was a fun podcast I did with him on antelope. I sure enjoyed that. And yeah, the guys are just getting after it. I'm getting after it. I just love hunting season. I do need to quit my job during hunting season, though. Oh my gosh, I just need, if you just have more time. But we all just have responsibilities we have to do in real life and things. But yeah, I just I get a ton of time. I got nothing to complain about. I just wish I had more. When it's right now and it's hunting season and the bulls are bugling, it kills me to be pouring concrete day in, day out. But it's just what I got to do. I got a great life, and I get a bunch of days hunting, and it's good to get a break too. And it's so important to me to be spending good quality time with my family as well. So we just have to mix and match, and it's just fun, and I'm just trying to enjoy it to the fullest, and I am. Oh my gosh, am I having fun. Just been a riot so far, and I can't wait here for these next couple tags, just to keep hunting, keep spending time in the mountains, keep challenging myself, putting miles on. I get a little break and I'm back in the hills running, like I get done from one of these hunts, like even this weekend, we, pouring concrete before I left, and then, work Friday, and then leave after work Friday, drive all night to get there. It's like 7-8 hours. And then, gosh, I'm only hunting for like 2 days, like just a Saturday, Sunday, and then driving late back Sunday to get home, and then up early Monday morning to where I just wearing myself ragged. But I still ran Monday, I still ran Tuesday. I just keep these legs going, just keep firing. I feel great, and it feels great to be wearing myself out too. But yeah, just gotta keep going, and the time I do have, I gotta make the most of it. And it's just really fun that season's here. But wish you guys all the best. Pulling for you guys. Thanks for all the support on the podcast and social media and things. I sure appreciate it. And yeah, we'll get out this second part, get this finished up, and get this released to you guys, and then I'll check in with you guys next week.